go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Today we're diving back into the lab. Told y'all we got so many rookies to discuss, and we're talking catchers of balls. Marvin Mims, wide receiver, former Oklahoma Sooner, now Denver Bronco. And I mean, the road is decently fast for him to find a spot on this roster, but it is not unachievable. He does have a lot of sound ability that could produce in year one. Is he going to be a standard and staple in fantasy productivity? Probably not, unless somebody goes down with an injury. But Marvin Mims is a talented wide receiver that I got a lot of good things to say. So follow me now. Let's discuss wide receiver Marvin Mims scouting report. You know, admittedly, I am and was a Spencer Rattler supporter. Okay, it didn't go to the plan that I had envisioned. Now he does play with South Carolina, but I mean, we'll see how Spencer Rattler goes, but he did provide, enough ample opportunity for a Marvin Mims to be that guy, along with a Caleb Williams, and then now Dylan Gabriel. He did take over this past year where Mims was the trusted commodity at OU. Let's talk about the NFL draft and the team that got him, those Denver Broncos, round 2, pick 32. And okay, he was pegged around the round 2, round 3 mark. I did expect him to go in round 3, especially. I do think he's a good talent, but much like all the other wide receivers, he is a little bit undersized coming out of this draft class. But with the depth chart that these Denver Broncos do have on their roster at this point, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, those are your trio, your standard that will likely get the majority of the looks from a Russell Wilson now with a Sean Payton. However, there is opportunity with the remaining depth for him to at least make his mark, Marvin Mims, in a 4 wide receiver sets. You got Marquise Callaway, you got KJ Hamler, and then Kendall Hinton, and then a bunch of others that are vying for an opportunity to remain on this Denver Broncos roster. So there is definite opportunity for Marvin Mims to make his name known and his presence understood here in training camp and the preseason, which I do believe he can do. There is obviously drafting him with round 2 capital, I should say. Guys like Callaway could be expendable. We're even seeing, Hinton may not be on the roster for much longer. So we'll see how this all does go. But there is, basically open door, open room evaluation under Sean Payton. Who is going to be the wide receiver 1 on this team? Is it Cortland Sutton? Is it Jerry Jeudy? Is it Tim Patrick? So there are a lot of, potential moving pieces and moving parts that Marvin Mims could slot himself into, knowing the fact that the Broncos just drafted this man here in this past draft. But like I said, there is opportunity for this man, but let's discuss his measurables. He stands 5'11", 183, so from the height perspective, he is taller than some of the others in this draft class, where this class was loaded with a lot of 5'8", 5'9" wide receivers, not so much over the 6-foot threshold. So 5'11" coming out of this draft was, basically taller than most, especially for the talent that we're discussing in this category. He is only 21 years of age, played in 37 contests, 123 receptions, 23.98 in yards, a beautiful 19.5 on the average, and 20 receiving touchdowns on his collegiate career statistic line, and it is good. He did play very well, and then, he had to deal with the rotational pieces at the quarterback spot, but he did have some very talented QBs. But let's dive into those pros for Marvin Mims. Fantastic speed. Right off the bat, you're going to talk about his speed in his game, but it is a different speed. It is a long speed for deep threat appeal, not necessarily, the burst, 1-2 step accelerators. He does need to get going a little bit, but the 4.38 and the 40 time, he does make up for that in that long speed. No kidding about that. Top speed is great in a Marvin Mims, which could make a guy like KJ Hamler, because he has an issue staying healthy because he's finding his way in the medical room quite a bit. Marvin Mims could definitely replace somebody like a KJ Hamler in that respect, man. The deep threat appeal, like I'm saying, is definitely going to be here for a Marvin Mims, and I would not be shocked if he is utilized this way within the first 2 years of his NFL career, more so than being that, route running guy on the field. He's got good athletic ability. We see it all the time with how he contorts his body, making these acrobatic catches, which he does do. I got that point down there on the board as well, man. He's making crazy catches around defensive backs, and he's done it more than once. The toe taps on the sidelines, toe drag swag is definitely present in this man. Very much good athletic ability in this wide receiver. Slot outside ability is definitely there, where he could be home in the slot. I do believe that he can also play outside also, that it does not preclude him from playing both positions, which he could become a mismatch nightmare on the field for these Denver Broncos. The route tree at this point is average, and I'm going to put it here because I do believe it is ascending. I think this past year did showcase the fact that he was able to at least attempt and learn to make more plays with his route tree. I do like it, so I'm going to put it here in a pro because I do believe it is ascending in the right direction, not necessarily a below average trait. He is a hand catcher. The ball's just corral and then no slap on those hands. Very good hands in a Marvin Mims. There are issues I do have in the cons, but I mean, basically overall, I will say I am favorable on his hands, and that's not going to be a detriment whatsoever in his game. He will challenge for those jump balls. Will he get beat, 50-50? Sure. I mean, he's not over 6'2", where he's going to, you got Most appeal on a lot of these guys, but he does manufacture ways to contort his body and do a decent box out where he knows where this ball is coming in his direction. And he does have extremely good concentration when searching for that ball, so that he will challenge for these jump balls. Depending on how often he does come down with them, that's another conversation, but he will challenge for them basically every single time. He does make a lot of plays on these balls. No kidding, man. Very good ball tracker over the shoulder, and that's what you're looking for from your deep threat appeal. He will go down the field, and I mean, there are issues, like I said, I'll touch it in the cons, won't get ahead of myself here, but over-the-shoulder concentration, great ball tracking ability is definitely present, and I was extremely, not surprised because I have seen him live many times watching him on Saturdays, but I'm saying it's one of these things that I think, is he an elite wide receiver? No, but could this be an elite trait in his game? Yes, it could, and I think it will only continue to grow. He's very good in this department, man. He will be a great secondary wide receiver, and I want to remove all the, notion that he's going to be an alpha or a number one in any offense. I don't think that's Marvin Mims at all in the NFL, but that does not necessarily mean that he can't be a great wide receiver catching over 1,000 yards. Not by any question whatsoever. He will be a phenomenal secondary wide receiver to a true wide receiver one who can also pull coverage away from the wide receiver one. Marvin Mims will do this more than adequately in a Sean Payton offense. He also does have punt return upside, which is likely where he's going to start year one. You want to believe. Gave the Denver Broncos at least more options on the punt return game. Marvin Mims is very talented in this respect. Career high numbers in 2022, 54 receptions for 1083, 20.1 on the average, and 6 receiving touchdowns. The career high in touchdowns was in his freshman year, where he caught 9. This past year, he only caught 6. But Marvin Mims, like I'm saying, he does have a lot of fantastic pros to discuss in his game, but he also got some cons. There are some cons here, and it's long speed over burst. So when we talk about my wide receivers and how I covet them, I like to see, at least a touch of the burst in the game, the touch of the accelerators. It does take him a few steps. Even on a free release, he starts to get going. But when he is in the open field, if there is no safeties deep, he will take it to the house. However, he doesn't really necessarily have a lot of that burst off that first step, and that is a concern, especially in your release packages. If you are playing outside, you're more likely to get jammed without having a, very good, quick first step off the line. He can struggle with separation from short into mid-range before that speed kicks in, and I think we got to caveat that big time. Where he is going downfield, blown coverages we did see a lot of, but I'm telling you, when he is downfield, he is separating because of those wheels. If he is doing the slants, he's doing the hooks, he's doing, the mid-range cross, he's going to struggle to gain separation because he doesn't have that great burst. He doesn't have that unbelievable release package off the line to get his guy moving, dodging players with a great route tree and cut ability. It's not present right now in his game. Can he learn it? Sure, because I do believe he's got enough athletic ability to range that out in his game. But at this point, I got to speak of what I know, and what I feel right now is the separation game is definitely a con for me, especially in the short to mid-range. If he is going to be that slot guy, he's definitely going to have to, improve this quite a bit, man. Play strength is adequate to below average. More muscles required. I mean, he is undersized based on, prototypical wide receiver stature size at this point, 5'11", 183. He could stand to put on some more muscle mass, so he isn't bullied off the line. He does get jammed, and I mean, even off the free releases, you see it even in the 5-yard range where he's got free release. He should be able to utilize his speed and get around the defensive backs. He still gets pushed off his routes a lot, and this is going to happen in the NFL more and more if he does not improve his muscle mass and understanding, how to at least swat away those jams. It's going to be a problem early on in his career. Do I believe he can work this out against the pros? Absolutely, but it's going to be a definite problem within the first 5-6 games. You want to believe, man. He has had focus drops at times. Smaller hands, the 31 percentile. Okay, fine. Again, more work on the jugs machine. While I do believe that his hands are very good to great, I don't think this is going to be a big problem, but he has had some focus drops in the past, so it's just more of a statement than a massive con, but we definitely got to put it down here, man. Route tree needs refinement, especially, like I'm saying, if he is going to be that guy in the slot doing the slants where he has been seen to, cut off his routes too early, not be able to, juke and shake the defensive back out of the way. He really requires more refinement in his route tree. While I do believe this past year being the go-to guy at OU for Dylan Gabriel, I think this is just going to continue to move up in the right direction, hence why his draft stock did increase, because he is so fast. He does have very good hands. These types of things he can definitely work out. Hopefully he does get an uptick in this respect. Field awareness does need a little bit improvement. Kind of coincides with the route tree improvements as well. I think once he understands where to plant himself in those zones, in those pockets for his quarterback, Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, and Sutton will definitely help him in this regard. Basically show him where he needs to be, where they require him, and then he can find those open soft zones, not just on broken plays where he's able to, go around a defensive back and use his wheels to get free, but where he actually needs to be. Given Russell Wilson an open window to throw the ball, it's going to be very important that he improves that awareness in that respect. He can play outside, but is he home in the slot? This is the question that I want to see. I do believe even in 4 wide sets playing in the slot, you can put him deep and he could expose a lot of people. And I think that's how they're going to utilize the mismatch, manufacture ways to get him the ball, get Marvin Mims the ball in space. Hopefully he can make a house call, and I think he might be a little bit more durable than somebody like a KJ Hamler. That's why I think they drafted him. Hedging their bets. If they have 2 speedsters on this offense, that's a plus. But if Hamler, again, goes down, finds his way into the medical room, Marvin Mims should be able to stay relatively healthy. He hasn't missed much time due to injury, which is a big positive. He did play with 3 quarterbacks at his time, Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, and Dylan Gabriel, like I'm saying. So there is chemistry building along the way that he's had to do all the time, and especially at 21 years of age, that is a lot of learning and chemistry building when you have to get the ball thrown to you from 3 separate quarterbacks. It was extremely fun to watch him with a Rattler and a Williams until Rattler kind of fell off, and then Caleb Williams definitely took over, and he showcased what he could do on the field. Marvin Mims has definitely played with some talented quarterbacks that will, translate in the NFL now, playing with a Russell Wilson and a Sean Payton who will expose it in the pass game. No kidding about that. But for grading purposes, Marvin Mims, I'm a fan. I think he's a very good talent. He will continue his strides. The upward trend in his game has been proven these past 3 years. Every single year we have seen improvements and we have seen growth and maturity in his game. 75.1% is where I got Marvin Mims sitting today, and I think it's a fair grade score. I think he's a very talented wide receiver that, I would have probably, selected him in round 3, but he was basically at the back end of round 2, so you're basically a round 3 product anyway. And he is a good talent. He should pay dividends for this Denver Broncos club. We'll see how they manufacture ways of passing the ball to these wide receivers, because last year was an absolute gong show crapshoot, as Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett were absolutely not in the same book, not to mention just the same page. But Marvin Mims, he could have at least, maybe a slow start to the season because you have wide receivers in this room. But as the year goes on, we could see Marvin Mims be one of these guys around week 12 where he's starting to pick up steam and be a playmaker for these Denver Broncos. So there you have it. That is Marvin Mims, OU product, and now Denver Bronco playing with Russell Wilson. He's got skills, he's got ability, and if he rounds out all those other aspects in his game, his release package, his route tree refinement, if he can do that, maybe get a little bit more burst, if they could train up the speed wheels, that'd be absolutely phenomenal. First step off the line is key. If he learns that, I think his wheels will be absolutely phenomenal. But it is Marvin Mims, good talent, but how will he do with these Denver Broncos? We shall see. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. Denver Bronco fans, what are you thinking of Marvin Mims? You a fan? You don't like it? When do you think he's going to get playing time? How is your outlook going to be with Sean Payton? Throw it in the comments. We can definitely talk it out. But we'll see you next time. I am out.